starting again.
Lincoln Park, waiting for the end. It's Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. Strength to walk on. So disclaimer, first off, right off the bat, some of you are going to love this, some of you are going to hate this, and then there's going to be a myriad of everything in between. And so one thing I always want to do and try to be is as real as I possibly can. But at the same time, I kind of want to be honest and kind of, explain things from my perspective, at least, the best I can. I will say, through my life, I have manifested a lot of things, and I have learned that this law of attraction stuff works. I have no question in my mind whatsoever. I've manifested people to me, and I will get into that, but I've definitely manifested people. There's been people where I've basically focused attention. Generally, a lot of times it's been physical, but there's been other scenarios. But a lot of times I just put energy towards it, imagining, essentially, oftentimes through fantasy. And was able to manifest a relationship. And what it does is it creates the energy. I've saw it happen basically so many times. It creates an energy bond between you. And if they're receptive, it creates like they start to come in close. It's just how it is. Now, if they're not receptive, which I've also seen and experienced, it's different. And it can be repulsive, or they just stay distant. Like they don't think about you ever at all, right? And you can put more and more effort towards it. And it might have gotten to the point where we'd start talking. And then in some of the cases, as I got to know them a little better, I'm like, yeah, you don't really have much of a personality, or you're not really open, or you're not really, right? Like it's just pieces missing. And again, a lot of the times it was just, they do something cool, or, they said something interesting and they're attractive. So, I'd run down that path. So I want to say I have zero doubts that law of attraction works. 100% of the time it works. But there are times where either the situation or the person's choice is going to overrule. Going to. And I've found in life, and again, for some of you, you might want to stop watching right now. For some of you, you might want to just stop, because, by the way, there's a happy ending here. There is definitely a happy ending. And it's awesome. And it's the reality of what some of us face and what could be a reality for some of us. And I'm not going to come up with artificial concepts or try to imagine different scenarios where what I'm going to explain is the appropriate way to go. Everyone's journey is their own. And this step is actually an important step in your evolution. Right or wrong, depending on the direction you go and what decision you make, a lot of things can happen. Now, I could have stayed on the path I was on a lot longer, to say the least. But without a doubt, I got to a point where, a lot of us, we talk about self-love. It's one of the most important things to truly try to share with people that are on this path, that are trying to use law of attraction and trying to manifest a relationship with someone. Now, again, the energy towards it, the imagining them, all this stuff works. There are going to be times where they just frankly aren't interested. Period. Maybe it's just the situation that it was. Maybe they're already on to a new phase. Maybe your souls really were done. Maybe that was the soul contract, and at that point you guys are like, yeah, no matter how much we love each other, we need to go separate ways because we've both got things waiting off in the distance for us. It can happen. How do we know? You don't. I didn't. I don't know. I don't know how you know. You reach a point where it just feels right, and that's why I always say trust your feelings. In my case, I guess it was easier. I'm more upset that it took me as long as it did. And I don't know. The experience I had with this individual, without a doubt, was odd. I've yet to experience this. I'm sure if I bumped into her in real life, it would probably be difficult for me to just want to be friends, right? Like, I don't think I could do that. Loved her beyond life. I mean, I've waited a lot of time for this individual. Early on, I think things might have been different. As it progressed, I started to realize, well, one, back in the past, I was in a place in my life where I really wasn't available. I was working a lot, probably 65, 70 hours a week. I was working an insane amount. And I did not really have room or place to be in a relationship, certainly with someone of her magnificence. And maybe part of the problem, who knows. But so I manifested somebody that was amazing, was the person that I would want to spend the rest of my life with, but I also made sure that she was unavailable, period, for a length of time. Now, to fill in the blanks of what I have not ever talked about, and this will be the only video I ever do on this topic, ever. She has a child. She has a little boy, and she's married. She's not wasn't in a happy marriage. I don't know where it's at right now. I don't really ask. It doesn't really matter. She wasn't in a happy marriage. He'd done some things that were pretty not cool and borderline unforgivable. So it was kind of that this could happen. Now, the child was much, much younger then. After 6 years, almost 5.5, 6 at this point, child gets older. And it gets to a point, in my case, and I've said this before, by the way, to take a quick step to the side. I've talked frequently about, like I said, with my history, I've been able to manifest things. I've dropped in there now, and this is my new little caveat that I've been using for years, and it saves me from a lot of things. If it's best for all involved, this is what I would like to experience. This is what I would like to happen. Because there are going to be times where my desires aren't necessarily best for others. And in the case of this wonderful woman that I've adored for years, her child, there's a couple avenues that it goes, right? Either her child, they get a divorce, right? Because that's the only way this can happen. So now all of a sudden her child is fatherless for the most part. And the guy works a lot, by the way. But he's supposedly an amazing father. So now this child grows up with the concept of either my mom wasn't good enough for my dad, or my mom sucks at choosing dads. Well, that's not cool for mom. Or my dad's a horrible guy, and I grow up as a male with really maybe you would have had a good role model, me, but still, like the idea that my father is somehow a bad person. And, we all make mistakes. I think that's a really important thing to remember. We all make mistakes. We all will screw up. And to be judged eternally for the rest of your life for a mistake you maybe made 15 years ago really doesn't seem fair in the scope of life. Like, as we evolve and grow, I did some stupid stuff when I was younger. Certainly wouldn't do that right now. And I still make mistakes now that I know I'm not going to do 10 years from now. Like, it's growth. So I finally got to a point where I realized the only way this can work out is for me to split and divide a family. Now, I'll tell you what, I probably could have manifested this. Again, I always keep the caveat in there, if this is best for all involved. If it starts taking a long time, there becomes a reason for it. Now, I was evolving and changing, so there was some of that where I could justify it. Like, well, dude, you're changing. You've grown in your income a great deal since you met her. Like, a lot of things have changed in my life that made it almost more possible for me to be in a relationship, which it did actually. Created a little more of time, not a lot, but more time to actually be in a relationship, to actually spend time with the person you love, right? So I had to create that in my life before I could even have a relationship. Again, I manifested someone that was not available who fit the bill perfectly. Like, here's the girl you want to marry. Boom, right? So, basically decided that this is not going to work. Now, I've wanted to do this show for a long time. Obviously nervous. It's taken me about 15 times to get started with it. I kept finding silly little things to be like, oh, well, that was in the way, or that cup was there, or I didn't like the way I was smiling. Whatever. Like, believe me, I had a bunch of stupid reasons. What I realized when I finally let go of this thing, and it wasn't because I couldn't do it, like I said, it's because it wasn't right to do. Her son's in a great place. He's going to grow up in a great environment with a great father in a great city at great schools. I don't want to be the guy that messes that up. I don't want to be. That's not right. I might have manifested her, but this is what I manifested with it. And I can do better. I can do better. Because she's not available. She's not the only person on the planet. And that's one thing I've learned also is love is an amazing thing. Love is an amazing thing. And it blinds us in a lot of ways, and it gives us tolerances we'd never have, and it allows us to see people in such a depth and clarity where you see their soul a lot more than maybe some of the mess-ups that we sometimes have. So whatever the case is, a lot of times you can look at things and go, hey, this all works out. It's all beautiful. I want to say that I manifested bringing her back and forth into my life so many times over the span of 5 years, 5.5 years, like a yo-yo. And for those of you, and I'm sharing this because I'm hoping there's people out there that this maybe fits. Maybe the idea of giving up after such a long time seems crazy, but for me, it wasn't giving up. It was, I love myself. I deserve more than this. And her choice is her choice. I know she loves me. No question. No question at all. This woman loves me and adores me. And I love her. But I know that the choice right now is for the boy. And I support that choice. I support that choice so much I realized it's best that I step away. That extra energy being put into this, creating additional confusion and turmoil and change and whatever. Maybe strains on the relationship. It's not right. It's not fair. It's not appropriate. So I decided I don't fit in this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. It doesn't change how I feel about her. It doesn't change that I would love to be with her, but the way things are right now, unless some sort of strange, like he straight up cheated on her, like hardcore or something really like had to, if that happens and that manifests itself, cool. But it's not going to be because I'm in there doing my imaginal work, trying to create. I mean, I've already put a lot of energy towards it, and she's certainly thought about me a lot. So, who knows? But at this point, I'm completely, truly, totally walking away. And in doing that, oddly, there was this perfect person for at least who I am now in life that is around me and is one of the amazing lady that I got to meet. We've been dating a couple months now, still early on. But it was one of those things that because I've built all this imaginal stuff, right? Storyboarded and all this. We've put on paper, right? Like here's the 10 qualities or the 20 qualities that they need to have. And I've done this work many times, especially over the 5 years. And what it's done is it's built an ideal person. And when I finally let go of the thing that I really couldn't have, and I needed to understand that, and that was part of my growth and evolution, hindsight's 20/20. And who knows what happens? I don't know what happens. And I'm sure because this person I date, she does watch these, so we're going to probably have a little discussion about this. But again, it's one of those things where I don't know. We're 2 months into this. I care about her deeply. I'm enjoying every day we got. I don't know what the hell tomorrow brings. I take tomorrow as it comes. I don't promise anything. To me, people with me and people not with me, the freedoms are always there. Like, I don't want someone to feel like you have to stay with me no matter what, or here's a Bolton thing and you're tied to the house and you can never get away. It's like, what kind of freedom is that? Like, if you want to leave me, leave me. Like, you might not, right? Like, that's just how it is. It's how it should be. So I'm going into it and all just like open and on and amazed. And it's such a freeing feeling to finally realize all these things I was putting off because I was waiting on something that I couldn't have. Now, again, we can manifest anything. Really, you can. Sometimes the other person, they can veto us and they win, no matter what. If someone's vetoing you, you can certainly work to get your energy better with them, so maybe they change their mind. There's always that option. But they always have the option to veto us. They should have the option to veto us. How would you feel if someone that you didn't like at all, maybe some ex-girlfriend or boyfriend you had in the past that you absolutely did not like, that was bad, they were toxic, they were evil, they were wicked, they were cruel, whatever, maybe violent? What if they could, because they were doing law of attraction stuff, they could say, I want her back, or I want him back. And no matter what you wanted, they got what they wanted, and suddenly you just became theirs. How would you feel? Right? It's good that we have a choice. What law of attraction does is it creates an attractive energy. It creates an energy to them. If there's things that need to be healed, forgiven, then forgive and heal. Has to happen because the energy's dirty. When you start to clean up the things that are making the energy dirty, you make that attractive force more attractive, more strengthening or strengthened, if you will. And it creates a more favorable energy of you to them. That is how you get an ex back. Or someone that you maybe don't know or sort of want to, or kind of know, but you want to get it deeper. That's how you elevate that feeling of who we are together in their minds too, in their hearts too, where they start to look at you in a different light. They're like, God, she looks really pretty today. Like, you wouldn't have thought that a week ago, but now you're doing all this law of attraction stuff. And when he saw you walk over to the copy machine wearing that sexy skirt you have on, it's not sexy, it's office friendly, but God, man, it looks good on her. Like, that's how they start to see you all of a sudden. That's how it starts to build. You create that, and through that energy, you start to resonate, and that's how you build it up into a relationship. So maybe it's someone that you barely talk to. Well, start talking to them more. Start building that relationship. That's how you attract it. And if you don't know anybody, you write the list, because what you're doing is you're creating it, and universe will throw people in your path. The lady I'm fond of was in an issue that kept her kind of where we were just friendly, very friendly, and she was going through a lot in her life personally. I got to know her a little bit, and she's just a wonderful lady, and I would kind of hook her up. It was at the coffee shop, and I'd hook her up with a free cup of coffee, basically. And through that, got to know her and just got to know what her ordeal was, what she was struggling with, and just, it was like my chance to give love in someone's life on a regular basis, on at least when I worked there, and try to help them because they're going through a hard time. Put a smile on her face in the morning, and then off she went into a reasonably challenging day every single day. That changed at some point, and so did my view on things. So did the way I was handling life. What I realized I deserved. Like being able to actually go places with someone, or have someone come over and actually be able to be intimate again. Oh my God, what? Or to have someone that actually cares about me and what I'm up to, because she's not so overwhelmed in everything in her family, right? And I'm the outsider. Like actually loving myself enough to say, yeah, I want more than this. This is not acceptable. This is not okay. And I get why I did this. There's nothing wrong with it. It's absolutely wonderful. It was an amazing experience. And in fact, I've grown professionally. I think I've quintupled my salary from when I started. So a lot of things have evolved because of these experiences. Without a doubt, I'm stoked they happened. What I learned, I've started this channel. It's refined a lot of my understandings of law of attraction and spiritual stuff and energy. And I'm reading more about it and keeping up with stuff more. Granted, realizing how busy I am, realizing how little time I have for a relationship. But this woman is just so appreciative of the time we get. And for me, that's all I can do right now. And it's something that I'm working on. I really didn't open that much time in my life, but I opened more than I had. So we evolve. We grow. And as the title kind of suggests, sometimes at some point, and it might not be with your specific person, maybe it's with your job currently, maybe it's with the place you're living, the neighborhood you're in. Sometimes we need the strength to walk on, to move on, to grow. And when you finally open yourself up to that, you'll be amazed at what doors have been waiting for you to walk through that have just been sitting there in front of you that you never saw. We have blinders sometimes, and it's good. It's great. You should. It's how we get to where we're trying to go. But there are times where we really need to look at self-love. We really need to look at what we're asking for. We really need to understand what is required to make this come to fruition. Is it something that I can consciously live with? Am I breaking up a marriage? Am I breaking up a family? Am I requiring someone die? Like, what am I okay with living with that might be required to do this? Or maybe, just maybe, I'm heading in the wrong direction? Or at least I'm looking for the wrong thing. I'll probably finish out with this. There was I hope I say this right, but when I was younger, there was a thing called snipe hunting. I think I'm saying that right. I think it was a snipe. And you'd go snipe hunting at night. Snipe hunting you'd always do with your friends. And oftentimes you'd always have someone snipe hunting with you that had never been snipe hunting before. That was the fun of going snipe hunting. And what you learned from the snipe hunt, the majestic snipe, the creature that could only be seen with the moonlight behind it, was actually a fictitious thing that didn't exist. There was no such thing as a snipe. You would never catch a snipe. There's no such thing. That was the joy of snipe hunting. Some idiot in the group thought there was a thing called a snipe and came along with you. Eventually, we learn that the thing we're hunting isn't what we thought it was. It was worth the hunt. It was fun with the friends. We threw back a few beers. I was an idiot and had some egg on my face. Taught me a lesson. Shouldn't be so gullible. Nothing's lost. Nothing's wasted. All things are for a purpose. Don't forget that. There's only correct. Everything you experience, even the errors, it's what we grow from. Makes all the difference in the world. Every day. If you're not making mistakes, you're not growing, you're not living. You got to be making mistakes, man. You got to be. Because how else are you going to change the world? You got to go against it a little bit sometimes. You got to make mistakes. You got to be wrong about some things. Be like, oh, get my facts straight next time. So maybe there's something in our lives that we're pursuing that we need to think differently. We need to, am I chasing after something for the wrong reasons? For money, for fame, for ego? Am I chasing after this because I have to have them back, or I have to have them, afraid of what might lie on the other side of this veil of unknowing? Sometimes the strength to walk on leads us to something we never, ever would have seen otherwise. And it's pretty amazing when you go through. So we'll see where that goes and gets us. Going out with a great song by Katy Perry. This one's called Roar. Right here on Dan Radio Style.
I see